Hey everybody, DM Jim here, and welcome to a new episode of the Tabletop Engineer. I love skirmish war games, and in particular, I've really been itching to play a science fiction skirmish war game. Here in Atlanta, I'm sure there are people that play them, but I've had a very difficult time finding players that can play when I'm available or vice versa. So I've taken upon myself to start searching for a solo skirmish game, science fiction, that I could play. And I stumbled upon one that comes recommended by a lot of people called Star Saga. Star Saga apparently was a Kickstarter from Mantic. I did not back it at the Kickstarter level, but I've picked up the core game. And in one of the episodes over at the Patreon page for the Tabletop Engineer, I uploaded recently the very first solo game called Mission A. I uploaded it there for patrons to watch, but I wanted to just give you an idea of what the game looks like. So miniatures come in blue and red. Bad guys are red, good guys are blue, and I think there are maybe some bad guys that are blue. I don't paint these all at once. Instead, what I'm doing is I'm painting them as I need them. And so for the first mission, I needed a bunch of lab techs and security guards. And so I painted them. I painted the lab techs red and painted the security guards blue. There's 6 of these and 4 of these. And I will tell you, the detail on these miniatures is really nice. Now, they're inexpensive. They're very light plastic. I guess this is maybe ABS. But again, looking at them, the detail is really, really good. So if you prime them, you can paint them up just like regular minis. As a matter of fact, the rule book has some outstanding close-up photography of the minis already painted. Mantic hired somebody that just did an outstanding job. But I'm quite pleased with the ones I've done, and I'm enjoying the game to the point where I want to keep going. So I'm going to be ending up having to paint a lot more minis, and this game came with a lot of minis. So as I was painting these, I was realizing I really want a place to sort of display them, but also to get them like off the desk. And because they're painted, I don't want to put them back in the box where they could get scratched or damaged or what have you. So I started thinking about how I could display these. And interestingly enough, sometimes things just work out. Well, I had this shadow box, excuse the noise here. I had this shadow box sitting around, and I was like, this would be perfect. The minis can sit in here just like so, but of course it's very boring. It's just a wood shadow box. So I took a look out there at what was available in terms of science fiction tiles. And Fat Dragon Games, Tom Tullis, a friend of mine, Tom has these incredibly detailed science fiction tiles that, they're wall tiles. They have different like computer images and things like that. And so I did some quick measurements on this, printed a bunch out. And when I say a bunch, you'll see shortly. And basically, they just fit in here. I'll need to paint the whole thing, prime it. But as you can see, they fit in there quite nicely. And there's 2 there, and you can put in 3 here. You may need, depending on your shadow box, you may need to, print them smaller or bigger. What you do is I took the measurement from this wall to this wall, and what that was, I divided it by 2, and then I just shrunk the wall tiles. They're almost actual size, but I shrunk them down just a hair so that they would fit in there just perfectly. And also I can get 2 more over here. All right, so here's the problem. I got this big gap here and an even bigger gap here, and I don't want to waste too much space. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, I'm going to build some flooring in here out of foam, and then I'm going to prime it, and I'm going to start painting it, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to make a custom display for the genre of game that you're playing. If this were fantasy, I could do fantasy tiles in here. If it were a horror, I don't know, maybe some, what would you do for horror? I'll be curious. Let me know in the comments. I don't know how you would make a horror themed one. But let's get this going. Let's get to the work table, and I'll show you some close-ups of this, and I'll get building the extra floors. Let's get to the tabletop. All right, so here is the shadow box that I'm going to be using. The tallest mini that I could find in the Star Saga box is this one, and he's right at 2 inches tall. These are flexible, and I discovered you can use a hot air gun to sort of soften it and then move them where you need them, because some of the minis, their weapons were a little bent, so I had to heat up the plastic and bend them back into shape. So this one's 2 inches, which it just so turns out I have these 1, 2, 3 blocks here. And when I put it in there and I've put this down, if I put a floor right there from this side to this side, this mini will fit in there. So I'm going to use these 3, 2, 1 blocks as a way to put a piece of foam in here to glue it in there to create a new floor. Now the problem is this lower floor, this is a very big one, so I can get actually 2 rows in here easy. If I put a floor in here, there'll be a nice big gap there. But down on this bottom one, if I do the 2 inch here, there's a nice big gap here, nothing really to do. So I think what I'm going to do is, in the game, it comes with 3-dimensional terrain pieces like terminals and doors, and what else? There's crates and things like that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this as is. I don't think I'm going to add a floor in here. I'm just going to make this as an extra tall floor, and I'll just put these in there maybe, I don't know, sporadically, or maybe I'll just do a whole run of them. The nice thing is when I get this floor done, I'll have 1, 2, 3 levels. I can average about 3 or 4 minis per section, so this should be plenty for a while for me to display the Star Saga minis as I paint them. Right now you can see I've only got 10. I've got 4 lab techs and 6 security guards. Here's an example, by the way, of one of the terminals. I love this. Painted it up, put a green screen on it. They're really nice. The detail is really well done. But these are the kind of pieces that I will probably use down here, or I may, put them in here as space allows. So the first thing I need to do is put these 1, 2, 3 blocks in here and get this flooring created. Here it is so far. I have granny grading glued up at top, and for the front, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch here, I'm gonna go prime this diamond plating plastic. I'm gonna prime it gray, and then I'm gonna cut strips to put in here for the flooring. Here it is with the diamond plating added for the flooring. I've started painting some of the screens. I've still got a little bit of painting to do, but you can kind of see where I'm going. I'm probably going to paint the outer edge, all these edges, maybe a dark gray so that the white pops out. I didn't paint this like I thought I would. I may still go back and do that, but I thought about painting it dark gray, but for right now, I think I'm going to leave it as is and see how I like it. One thing I do like is when I put these minis in here, the red and blue, they really pop out. See that? On that white background, they look really good. I've got this thing angled back so you can see it better, and it's got better lighting. Next thing I'm going to do is hang it on a wall and just use it to display, all these minis. One thing I'm thinking about doing, you see these doorways right here? They're kind of blank. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find a picture of a corridor, like a science fiction corridor going away in the distance. I'm going to shrink it down, and I'm going to print up a bunch of them, and I'm going to cut out that pattern. And I have a spare one of these pieces so I can use it as a template. And I'm going to cut out a bunch of corridors and glue them on there. That just popped in my mind. I don't have time to do it right now, and I wanted to be done with this so you could see it. So what I'm doing right now is just putting all the minis up here. And here's one of the good guys in the center there. And this is just going to look really cool hanging on the wall with all my miniatures. Now, I have more miniatures to paint that are different units, so it won't be just red and blue. There'll be some other color schemes going on. But, the computer monitors and the little flashing lights, I don't know if you can see, but there's yellows and reds, and it just, I'm just really, really happy with how it turned out. Plenty of room to expand here. As you can see, I've got tons of room for more miniatures. Totally easy to do. Shadow box. Just added some more flooring because it didn't have this level right here. I split this tall section by that. And then, priming it white after gluing in these 3D printed pieces. And then basically just doing detail work, painting the screens and stuff like that. But I hope you like it. Totally something that you could do if you are in need of a science fiction display for any kind of science fiction minis. It looks so much better than just like sticking them on a shelf or a blank shadow box. This is definitely much more thematic, and I'm loving it. So anyway, I hope you liked this. I'll be back in a week with a new crafting project. Until then, this is DM Jim, the Tabletop Engineer. Take care.